Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Bristol Town Council meeting of January 27th. If you could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome. Before we start the regular meeting, our Recreation Director, Walter Burke, reached out to me and asked if he could share some important information about the HES grant and looking for some information. I have a prop here, so I will use that in a moment. But, Walter, please, go ahead.
Good evening. I just wanted to give an update regarding the Bristol HES program, the Health Equity Zone. We're at the end of our first year assessment period, and by February 14th, we'll have our next proposal for year 2 submitted to the Department of Health. We are going to be asking for up to $400,000. It's all grant money, and it's to implement the action plan that is being developed this year. And we've already received close to 500 surveys, and I'd really like to encourage everyone to go on the town website, the town front page website, that's bristolri.us, and under what's happening in Bristol on the front page, you'll see Bristol Parks and Recreation HES survey. Click right under it, and then it'll bring you to the second page, where it will also say click for survey. Click on that, and the survey will open. Our target is to get 1,000 surveys. The surveys are what's going to govern the action plans. And the surveys really need to represent what our community feels about health, wellness, accessibility, activities, exercise programs, handicapped accessibility, seniors, everyone. We're looking at causes for drug use, for child welfare, for preschool. We formed a collaboration of about 35 different nonprofit organizations in our community. We're all working together. We're solving problems. The problems are going to be solved in year 2, 3, and 4. Each year will be up to $400,000 to implement the surveys that we are creating now. But rather than have that flow from me or public officials, we really want that to emanate from the people that live, work, and exist in this beautiful community. The community, the HES program is for Bristol and the Bristol Warren School District. Thank you.
So I took the survey before I came tonight. It took about 10 minutes. It doesn't ask you for any personal information, including your name. Doesn't matter. So if it takes about 10 minutes, which it took me about 10 minutes, I look through it and you ask you questions about your knowledge base on what's out there. And as Walter said, it's imperative that we get real information so we can focus these programs on what we need, not what we think we need, right? So, but thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Town Council. The first item on this evening's agenda is the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is the submission of minutes of previous meetings, items A1 and A2.
Make a motion to approve the previous minutes, A1 and A2.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is a public hearing. We have the application of Peter Gresh, doing business as Grasmere for Franklin Street, requests council consideration for a junk and secondhand dealer's license. You have recommendation from the town administrator and chief of police to approve, and this is an advertised public hearing.
Okay, so I'm going to open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak in favor?
Sorry, should I cut you over that qualifying name is Peter Gresh, I'm the owner of Bristol. I apologize.
Welcome.
Welcome. Good evening. My name is Peter Gresh. I am the proprietor of Grasmere, and we are in the process of moving to Bristol from Barrington, and we would like the council to grant us the said license. What we are selling in this context of our shop are primarily art pottery and lighting devices of the 1910s and to 1930s, Art Deco and Art Nouveau. Those fall under the license of junk and used merchandise, so hence our applications for this license.
Wonderful. So this is at the corner of Franklin Street and Thames Street, kind of right near the Redlifson, such and so forth, that
Yes,
same
right
area.
between the Beehive Cafe and Jackie's Loft.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
What questions do my colleagues have?
I went out to your website, and I took a look at it, and I think you're going to be a nice fit for the town, and thank you. We're looking forward to having you.
Just thank you very much, and we welcome you.
Thank you.
Happy to have you here. I know you had a successful business in Barrington, I believe, so
Yes, we did.
very good. Nice that you're moving here.
We actually, yes, it was. We felt very welcome also in the entire process of, if I may say so, the compliment, the entire process of coming to Bristol and the licensing and all this. You have a wonderful system in place that helped a merchant like myself to go through the various departments and license procedures. And I felt very much welcomed and assisted. So I really would like to commend
It's
you.
great to hear.
Yeah, can you say that again?
Yeah. Play that a few times.
Wish you the very best of luck.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
So is there anyone else to speak in favor? Is there anyone else to speak in favor? Is there anyone else to speak in favor? Is there anyone to speak against? Is there anyone to speak against? Is there anyone to speak against? Is there a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. So, as my colleagues already said, this it sounds wonderful. It sounds like a great fit for the town, and anyone who comes in and says nice things about the process, we're very happy about too. So, I joke. But what's this council's pleasure?
I move that we grant the license. The license is necessary.
Second?
Are we combining the all licenses?
Well, it's the junk and secondhand and the holiday sales. The gentleman has applied for those two.
Right, yes.
I'll second the motion.
So will that be part of the motion of combining D1 with B1?
Yeah, we just combine them all, or?
So that would be...
What is
No, it doesn't matter. So it would be basically D1 and D2.
correct?
And both, the holiday, just we'll point out for the record that the a holiday sales license also has the approval recommendation of the town administrator and chief of police.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second to grant both the junk and secondhand dealer's license and the holiday sales license. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Congratulations. And he's already gone. His confidence level is high, and
Wow,
I
that was
appreciate that.
fast.
So,
Expeditious.
Yeah, no kidding, no kidding.
He's moving this stuff in. He had the truck outside.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Peter, we all here wish you luck.
Yeah.
So.
The next item, Mr. Chairman, members of the town council, is item C1. This is the first reading of ordinance 2016-01. This considers certain tax exemptions for renewable energy systems.
So I asked to have this on the agenda, but the solicitor actually has some interesting information for us.
I'm going to ask that you continue this to the next meeting. The Supreme Court has just come down with a decision with regard to the non-taxability of renewable energy systems. I want to have the opportunity to read that thoroughly, it may be that we are not going to be able to enact an ordinance like this. So
That's
if
too
you
bad.
just continue.
So to be clear, we were looking to make non-taxable any solar or any renewable energy that you added to your home, and because of this change or potential change, we may not need to do that because
Correct.
it may be a non-issue, which is a good news thing.
There you go.
So-
No taxes.
Exactly. So we need a motion to continue?
So
Or,
moved.
excuse me, I would say it's probably more appropriate to refer to you, right, Mike?
Yeah, why don't you refer it back to me, and if I believe it should come back, I'll put it on, otherwise I'll just give you a little report.
Perfect. So there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
I'd just like to say that I think it's a good ordinance. It definitely increases the value of your home. It reduces your carbon footprint, and it helps save money. I just think it's going to be a good ordinance if it can get through.
Agreed.
The next item is item D3. This is the petition of the Persimmon Group doing business at 31 State Street. Request council consideration to transfer their existing Class BV intoxicating beverage license to the Toasted Bun Hospitality LLC, doing business as Statesman Tavern at the same address. This would be for the council to call for a public hearing to occur at the next council meeting on February 10th.
Motion, this constitutes a call for a public hearing for February 10th.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is the public service appointment section of the council's agenda, and the first item on that agenda is item G1A, Harbor Master. You have the application of the current Harbor Master, Greg Marsili, seeking reappointment. You have recommendations provided by the town administrator and the Harbor Commission chairman.
What's this council's pleasure?
I'd be happy to move that we reappoint Greg Marsili as Harbor Master based on the recommendations, and personally, I think he's done a fantastic job.
I'll second that, and I agree wholeheartedly. I think he's a good choice, and we all know everything that was said in the letters, we know as accurate, and that, Greg works very hard and does a lot of the work himself, and has been able to bring people together to help, and in working with both the recreational boaters and the commercial fishermen, which is a very big part and something that I know I'm concerned about, and I think we all are, that we don't lose that aspect from our waterfront.
Definitely.
I also agree. Good job, Greg. And going forward, there's a lot that has to be addressed, and we're going to do it together collaboratively. Just like to take the time, upon the recommendations from our Harbor Commission Chairman, Dominic Franco, that our thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family at this time for the passing of his grandson at such a young age. So,
My goodness.
Yeah, wow.
So there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Similarly, Mr. Chairman, members of the Town Council, we have several persons seeking reappointment and consideration first time for appointment for Assistant Harbor Master, and you have the recommendation, which is a requirement of the ordinance as provided by the Harbor Master.
So with the recommendations, Mr. Chairman, of the Assistant Harbor Masters presented by, for Louis Fraterelli Jr., David Girton, Thomas Scuttling, Alan Leach, Charles Lombardo, Scott Marino, and John Motter, and also the recommendation and interest of elevation of Daniel Blount, who is an auxiliary member, to serve as Assistant Harbor Masters. Also, upon this motion, through the clerk's office, if there's any late recommendations or on file, Lou, subject to their submission to this council and approvals, that they would be appointed if they're already serving. If they're not serving, then I would recommend to my colleagues that those be interviewed.
So you're making, I just want to be clear, you're making an appointment based upon everyone recommended.
Yes.
Okay, and
The elevation of Daniel Blount.
and he is on the recommended list?
Yes.
Okay. And that anyone else that may have applied that may be recommended and that their application doesn't appear here, they would also be included?
Yes, I believe there's one gentleman that is already an assistant harbor master. If I believe he has submitted something.
If he may have submitted a late
Yes.
application.
Yes,
you would
Mr.
still
Clerk.
wish to. So in other words, everyone on the recommended list you would like to appoint?
Yes.
Okay.
But if there are others that put in for the assistant harbor master, they're not recommended. I'm just saying that if they want to be interviewed, then, so we don't have to go through this twice.
Well, if it's not a reappointment.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will take care of that. And
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Just real quickly, Mr. Chairman, upon the elevation, because we have assistant harbor masters and we have auxiliary harbor masters, and we're very glad of the interest in this department and the help for our harbor and our harbor master and the assistants. But the elevation from auxiliary to assistant, I just want to be clear, last couple budgets we combined just the monies that these gentlemen only get paid when on duty. So there isn't a different stipend of the auxiliary to the assistant. I just want to be clear on that since we made those changes. Thank you.
So there's a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
okay, and similarly, we have the assistant harbor masters, as so noted, and the recommendation provided by the harbor master for those individuals.
So again, Mr. Chairman, upon the recommendations of the auxiliary harbor masters to reappoint Seth Alex, Nathan Gallison, George Gatos, Ryan Medeiros, and William Texera. And can we set up interviews for Patrick Gutline, Joseph Simone, George Mulvey, and Stephen Gravia?
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay. The next item is the tree warden, and your current tree warden, Mr. Michael King, has informed the council that he does not wish to be reappointed.
I find it's very disappointing. He did a wonderful job and appreciated the time, effort, and energy that he put into it, and the interactions that the public had with him were very positive. It's sometimes a very challenging position, and he handled it well. So we need to make sure, obviously, as we do with all of these, that we send him a letter of thanks and gratitude for his hard work.
I believe, yes, the demands of the job, especially in our town, how we protect our trees and how we're very prudent. I think a discussion with the administration going forward to get a quality person like Michael, maybe there's things we have to discuss that, we want to keep good people, and maybe there's questions we need to be asking. So I think we could set something up between this council and you to go forward with that.
That's a good idea.
I definitely concur that we need to have a conversation surrounding that appointment and that position itself. I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When is Michael's term up?
It is now.
It's done. Okay.
Yes.
Anybody
January? Is it January?
It's January, yeah.
Is he willing to continue to serve until we find a replacement? Do you know?
I tried to reach out to him and unable to, I did not get a response, but I will continue. And maybe I can change his mind, but we need to have a conversation. I need to come back to the council with some recommendations, for that position.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So is there Lou, do you need a motion to receive on this one? What do you need?
No, it's usually a motion to send letter thanks.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I believe you did,
I think
Mr.
you
Chairman.
did.
Oh, we did?
I did it? No, I can't do it. Well, I can. All right, so is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Your motion, Eddie. I thought you did.
The next item is sub-item E. This is from the fire chief regarding recommended special constables, fire police for the upcoming year.
Upon the recommendations of the special constables of fire police, make a motion to accept and ratify them.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
And similarly, from the police chief, recommended special constables, private investigators, matrons, and retiree officers for 2016.
Again, with the recommendations of the Chief of Police to accept and ratify the list of the special constables, private investigators, matrons, and retiree officers, also with the updated changes that the Chief has submitted to us. And again, I know we practice the protocol that every year it's a large list that we do a background on everybody, that everybody is suitable. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is the Board of Tenants Affairs. There's two positions, both with terms to expire in January of 2018. You have the request for reappointment from both Elizabeth Burns and Marie Tucker, both of 1014 Hope Street.
I move that we appoint Elizabeth Burns and reappoint Elizabeth Burns and Marie Tucker to the Board of Tenant Affairs.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
And sub-item H, this is the Bristol Housing Authority. We have the request for reappointment from Dominic C. Canna, 117 Beach Road, and this is for term to expire in January of 2021.
I move that we reappoint Dom Kenna to the Bristol Housing Authority.
I second.
All in favor?
And also, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a statement that the chairman a couple meetings ago said about people who give public service for many years. This gentleman, believe it or not, has served this housing authority for 45 years.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say
Excellent.
that that's a...
Yeah. I'm glad you called that out. That's, yeah.
We thank him.
It's fantastic. Amazing.
So there's a motion and a second, and a great addition. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Aye.
The next is the North and East Burial Grounds Commission. This is actually the Commissioners of the Cemeteries. There are two positions available, both with terms to expire in January 2021. You have the request of Edward P. Carusi, 64 Mount Hope Avenue, seeking reappointment.
Make a motion to reappoint Edward P. Carusi to the North and East Burial Grounds with the 5-year term with the expiration of 2021 or 20, did you say, Lou?
2021, yes.
2021. Also, I'm just questioning, there is another gentleman that is up at this time, too. If he does submit accordingly for a reappointment, if it's all right with my colleagues, we'll take it up. If not, I guess we would advertise for that position if he's not seeking reappointment.
Did you want to appoint him pending the receipt of an application? Or did you
It's a
want...
very proactive approach. I think that's
Okay.
it's a great way to handle it.
Upon my colleagues, yes, thank you.
Okay.
So there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Next, we have the Waypoisett Trust with term to expire in January 2018. You have the application of Brian Leffingwell for Massasoit Avenue seeking reappointment.
Make a motion that we reappoint Brian Leffingwell to the Waypoisett Trust.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
And the last is the Board of Tax Assessment Review. This is with term to expire in December of 2019. You have the application of Leonard Calandra, 46 Monterey Road, seeking reappointment, and the required recommendation of the Democrat Town Committee Party Chairman.
Make a motion to reappoint Leonard Calandra to the Board of Tax Assessment Review with a 3-year term.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And this is the part that I always say, thank you. Thank you for taking your efforts and energies, going away from your family and friends to give back to the community. This council very much appreciates it, whether you just got on the board or you've been on like Dominic Canna for 45 years. So to everyone, whether it's 1 minute or 1,000, we say thank you. We appreciate what you do, and please keep up the good work. Thank you.
The next item, Mr. Chairman, members of the Town Council, is we have the report that was continued from January 6th regarding the Maritime Center Capital Project from the treasurer.
Need a motion to continue this. Spoke with Julie and Councilman Herreshoff, as you know that he's not here this evening, and just a few more things that we were looking to put together so we have some clarity for this. So if we get a motion and continue February 10th?
I'll make a motion to continue to the February 10th council meeting.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
And we have the other new business requiring town council action. This would be item I-1, the town administrator providing information regarding energy-saving projects.
So I was happy to see this. I know Councilman Stewart and myself met with state officials, including Rep. Marshall and Rep. Gallison, to talk about solar and what opportunities. And I know I reached out to Diane, and as usual, things just kind of flew from there. This is certainly not my idea for solar at the town transfer station, but it's something that I've focused on, and this is wonderful to see this move forward. So, Mr. Texera.
Well, this one is not about solar. This is
I know.
about,
I know.
But I like how you started it.
Yeah.
Though it's certainly that is very true. I mean, it goes along with energy savings projects, and you are very correct. Solar is obviously the next one that we'd like to pursue. However, the street lights, we've been talking about the purchase of the street lights. Well, finally, we did get a price. National Grid came through with the price, and as I pointed out, it was It's $49,986 for 2,049 fixtures that are in town-wide. That being said, actually, let me just pass the word on to our fearless leader, Walter Burke, who actually has been leading this team. It's been a team effort. It's been myself, Walter, Diane, and Julie, and we've been working in conjunction with Barrington. This has been a great effort to partner up with Barrington. Yeah. So let me have Walter take it from here.
And as the administrator said, and you take this over, that $50,000 that was just said, 49 and change, is a massive savings from what we thought it was going to be, never mind what we currently pay. So, Walter?
Just to briefly outline what we're undertaking here, and really the lion's share of work. This was a lot of work, a lot of collaboration. When we reached out to Barrington, Phil Hervey, the principal planner in Barrington, jumped at the chance to partner with us. Peter DeAngelis, the town administrator in Barrington, was all over this as being a really great partnership between the two communities. But I really have to, give the lion's share of credit to my colleague, Diane Medeiros. And regarding the streetlights, Julie was like a godsend. And I am a religious man. So it really was a partnership. Our DPW director has been partnered with this. What?
Did you mean to say Diane Medeiros?
Oh, I'm sorry. Diane Williamson. That's a flash from the past. I'm sorry.
My brain heard Williamson. I got to be honest. I heard Williamson.
We budget about $175,000 a year for maintenance of the streetlights. That is given to the National Grid, whether we use it or not, every year. So that pool of $175,000, we were told that the streetlights were going to cost about $100,000. In actuality, as we heard last week, it was $49,000. So that's a very, very big discount. So we purchased the lights for $49,000. We then we want to enter into a contract with Siemens Electric Company to maintain those lights, and that is about $35,000 a year. So we get what we have for over $100,000 savings for the first year. Then from year 2 on, the savings, increases by the fact that we don't have to buy the lights every year. Our DPW director, Kevin, will be overseeing the maintenance and making the reports. So that's where we're at right now. Our next step is to convert those lights to LED. When we do that, we're going to be looking at between a 70 and 80% decrease in the cost of running them, the electricity to run the lights.
That's awesome.
So all in all, we're really looking at, a huge savings for the town
Every year.
every single year.
Not just once.
And it's money that has already been budgeted in our lighting maintenance account every single year anyway. So we're going to be seeing a huge savings. So that's the street light issue. The second issue is the energy efficiency of our buildings. All of the buildings. There are 17 buildings in the town, all of which really need tremendous weatherization.
You're being kind. They're extremely inefficient, and we spend a lot of money to keep them warm and lit.
We're throwing out. So the next step is to. Julie can talk a little bit about the infrastructure bank. If we're ready for that, or do we want to?
Well, let me just jump in a little bit here for a point of clarification. Walter said we purchased the lights. Well, we haven't signed contracts. No contract has been signed at this point, although we are ready to go ahead and work out the logistics. But before we actually sign the contract, what I've done, I've requested Chief Canario to assist us in verifying the inventory of the lights that we have. So I've actually provided the list to the chief, and he in turn is going to have some of our officers in the later shift, I believe will be the third shift, they will be going around and actually confirming that, one, we have all the lights that they say we did. Two, that there are fixtures there, because in some instance we had poles that were replaced over time for various reasons, and I know of at least 2 places that the fixtures were not reinstalled. Yeah, okay. So that being said, we just got to make sure that we are paying for the whole thing, that we are getting the whole package as they provided to us. So we are working through all of those details. The other person that I apologize is Kevin McBride. He's also a part of the team, so it's really been the 5 of us, because ultimately when it comes to the maintenance, that's going to be rolled over to our director, and he's going to be overseeing that once we hire the company that will do the maintenance of the lights.
So we purchased these lights. Why we want to put LED in? Why are we buying our... I know the answer. It's rhetorical. Why do we buy our lights from National Grid? Why do we want to do this? Because the only way that you can take advantage of the programs that are out there for purchasing LEDs is that you must own, we'll call them non-efficient lights. That's why you buy them right now. So even as you've both pointed out that we're purchasing this and we're spending $50,000, we're actually saving $100,000 from what we currently spend with National Grid, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. When we put the light bulbs, when we change the lights to LED, then there's a massive savings with the cost of electricity too, and that's forever too. So this is a wonderful step. This is a classic example of great local government working, trying to find solutions not to raise taxes, but to find savings. And this is a great way of doing that. And this has been something that we struggle with every year at the budget, trying to figure out how much we need to budget for this, and we're literally wasting money. So the next step forward is we're eagerly awaiting that. So.
Correct. Julie could jump in and actually give us a little more information, infrastructure bank, and how this will apply.
So Rhode Island has a new program through they've created an infrastructure bank. They're receiving submissions. The deadline's passed now. They're receiving submissions for energy efficient projects. So the town of Bristol applied for not only the streetlight conversion to LED, but also the town hall HVAC system, as well as conversion in the town hall for LEDs. The police station had some weatherization and window repair work, and DPW building had a couple of projects too. So what that does is they'll create a project priority list. It is competitive. Based on that, they'll determine the best projects to have on the project priority list, and then we'll be able to access a loan for a subsidized interest rate. So it's about 25% off the market interest rate, and they use the communities to base that rate off of. So we'll benefit by our bond rating and then get an additional 25% off, which is excellent. So we don't have to do all of these projects, but we were encouraged to submit them all for review, and then once we determine whether we've made the project priority list, we can take a look at the projects and see what we want to greenlight. So
Perfect.
It's a great opportunity.
Julie, just for clarification, were the schools part of that as well?
The schools are a little bit different
I thought
because
they were,
have
but-
RIBEC funds, and so all of their construction is subject to subsidy anyway. It's roughly 60 to 70% off of the cost. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for them to participate in the infrastructure bank. It's primarily communities. So.
They have a great option to purchase them themselves.
Absolutely, and they do a lot of work with LEDs and work with the National Grid incentives, so they're definitely on board with the energy efficiency, and actually we've reached out to them to participate on the next project, which is our solar, and so we're going to be meeting with them to talk about potential buildings for them to put solar panels on as well. So we're going to have Barrington, the town and schools, Bristol, town and schools.
Which to Tim's point, the school is us.
Yeah,
so that is our funds.
Yeah,
so it's less money we're spending to do that, and more money going to kids' education.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Well, I just had a quick question, well, maybe two. On the streetlight purchase, what is the timeline for that? Like, do you think
As soon as
like a month or so?
As soon as we have our solicitor on board and review all the documentation, and then we need to come back to the council and say, okay, we're ready to go, and get the blessing, and let's move on.
Okay, and the other is, I do think the solar project is important. I mean, you know, when I read the article about the Mount Carmel project, I mean, I think they were all, if I remember correctly, private parochial schools. There were no public, if there was a public, it was just one. So I think it's great to get involved with that.
Yeah.
And we have a project right here, one block away, that you can see, how the savings has been in a relatively short period of time. I believe they're starting to see results already, if I remember correctly, from something that I read. I think it might have been in their church bulletin, but it could have been in the paper. And that's my only final comment is I really like the way this is formatted because it gives us all the information very clear and easy to follow. Who did that?
That was Diane.
Nice job.
Who on the team did that?
Yes.
A good point to make with the solar, too, is that whether in most of the options, there's no outlay of funds from the town.
Right.
So this is not us spending money here. This is just taking money. We're big fans. So I joke, but you get the point to it. So what do we need here? This is really great news. And Councilman Sweeney, it seems that we should probably just combine your...
Yeah, I
which is our next line, which is I-2, which was you were looking for an update on this project?
If I could just comment on this previous one.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to put them all together.
Oh, okay. No, I just wanted, on everybody's comment, Walter said a key thing about partnership. We should be very proud here in Bristol, leading by example on many forefronts, but even collaborating with the state, because as Julie mentioned, the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank by Governor Raimondo and Treasurer Seth Magaziner, there was a great segment a couple weeks ago in Providence Business News with Marion Gold, who's the Energy Commissioner for the Rhode Island Energy Resource Office. And, she made some great statements about whether we know this or not. Rhode Island's ranked number 4th in the nation for energy efficiency, and we're striving to be number 1. And I think these programs will be implemented not only for cost efficiency. Even earlier on, we were talking about the renewable energy ordinance put by Chairman Calero for any homeowners to have cost savings and programs in place, whether it be for homeowner, municipal, private, or public sector. This is also an economic benefit. Last year, 600 jobs, Ms. Skoll stated that was applied to this sector, and 1,600 are projected coming 2016. So it's great that we're all on board, whether it be LED and with the Solarize Rhode Island program, as Julie said, that 10 municipalities are already on board, whether it be all renewable energies and have the resources to have the sustainability to lower our gas greenhouse emissions and have a greener environment. Everyone saves money and everybody can make out with this.
Councilman Stewart, hopefully we can get there to be fourth in the country for our roads. That would be nice.
Fourth least worst?
We might be first in the country for the cost per mile.
Yeah.
Well, if we could take the 50,000 for the lights and do all our roads on 50,000, I think Kevin, Tony, and I and us would be very happy with that.
And then we receive and file. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to combine I-1 and I-2 and to receive and file.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Chairman, members of the Town Council, we have from the Bond Council some new borrowing resolutions for council consideration.
Hi, Julie. Treasurer Julie.
What you have in front of you is borrowing resolution that you've been seeing annually now for quite a few years. This is regarding the state revolving fund for our sewer department. And this is multiple projects, including sewer cleaning, TV inspection, inflow source removal, sewer system repairs, more RBC replacements, pump station improvements. So the total is $2.5 million for this issue. And Jose's here, and we can answer any questions if you have questions about the projects or.
We have 3 years to pay this off. Is it 3?
No. You're probably seeing the reimbursement resolution side of this, which just means that if we had projects and we needed to spend the funds in advance of the actual bond issue, we could do that and then reimburse ourselves for that. So that's the 3-year piece.
The 3-year
These
piece,
are typically
okay.
20-year bonds.
Oh, it's 20 years. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Is there a motion?
Adopt.
Make a motion to adopt the borrowing resolution presented to us here tonight in front of us.
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item is RFP MPA-2. This is for professional engineering consultant services for Church Street Dock Southern expansion. There were 2 proposals submitted. The first from PAR Corporation with the design proposal amount of $116,500 and the construction supervision amount of $24,500. The second was from GZA Geo Environmental Incorporated of Providence, the design portion of $132,061 and the construction supervision portion of $28,774.
Does this go far enough? And maybe I might call upon the director and the harbor master with these bid prices and not any add-ons of the scope of the project?
Now, we met with both companies, Diane and I, and we laid out in the line what we wanted to have down there, with the input from our committee and the Harbor Commission. I don't think it's going to be any add-ons. We addressed all the safety concerns, fire, electrical, transient.
I'm just asking because I know everyone, whether it's the Church Street Dock or the Marina or the Maritime, everyone, has their eyes on it. So.
Sure.
So, Greg, I just had a quick question. So we have the Marina at the end of Church Street, the Maritime Center, and you come out onto that dock and the expansion south. So it'd be around Robin Rugg?
South.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just all the way around?
Yes.
Okay.
South from the current Church Street dock to the Elks Lodge.
That's fantastic.
So it's the marina
okay.
that-
That's for the new marina.
Okay.
And how many slips would you say?
That should be 100 slips, and then with the riparian rights being owned by the town for Robin Rugg, whoever develops that gets a percentage of slips not to exceed, I believe, 15 when they develop that.
And they get 15, the point of clarity there is that they get 15 as a first right of refusal. So if they're not interested in any of those, then, which I can't see why they wouldn't be,
Sure.
but that being said, then they would revert back to the town. And they get first right, too. And I'm just making a couple of points of clarity, is that the income from those would still go to the town,
Yes.
responsibility to the town, but they are first on the list for those. And that's very appropriate to be that way,
Sure.
too. So Diane and Greg, answer a couple of questions here for us. We were looking at, say, $125,000 worth of design, and then $25,000 to $30,000 in regards to construction supervision. We spend this money to do this, and have we talked about ballparks on the cost of the overall project? Do we know that in general terms?
As long as you're not quoting me, I think when we looked at this, we were looking around $1.5 million
Okay.
build. They're going to give us more of an idea once we select one of them. They didn't want to, kill themselves if we weren't going to select somebody to go ahead and engineer this for us and get us a price. The way we designed this was to put the nice heavy-duty concrete piers on the outside with the wave attenuator, which will knock the swell down throughout the entire marina system we have now and the waterway. So it's going to be a little more than wood piles, but in the long run, it's going to last longer.
Well, and also there's a massive difference. I mean, our standard size slip doesn't accommodate a larger boat.
No.
These will.
Yeah.
The lanes, the spaces between them will be larger to allow larger boats to come in. The town we are considering the possibility of a fuel dock in that vicinity, and the benefit of all of this, and I think it's really important to point these things out, is that this is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot more money spent, but that's very much like the LED lighting, is that the return on investment is impressive.
Right.
Not only the direct benefit of this leasing or rentals of the slips on a yearly basis, but bringing more business into our community, more people using the community. There's a lot of ancillary benefits from that. So,
As the harbor master stated, just so the public's aware of, we're not going to quote that price, but my colleagues and I and the departments already went down there. No, I think we should let the public know that it's a lot of underlining infrastructure for years that's just depleted. It has to be done right. When we saw the devastation and presented with how much has been just deteriorating over the years, it's like the director of public works says, you think you're just opening up a little thing to fix a pipe and then the whole road collapses, and that's pretty much what we're dealing with down at that dock, and it's going to be a pivotal piece. So I just want to make the public aware of these projects, the cost associated with them, and why they're needed. So
Does this include, so the design and the construction supervision, but is this so, as part of the design, it would be all the RFP documents also to go out for bid, the bid document? Okay.
If we built the marina, it'd be built tomorrow. We have 100 people on the list today, and then that would cover the entire amount. So,
Hey, Greg, is there grants at all available?
Well,
anything?
when you start using grants on these projects, as I learned, then you open the door for non-Bristol residents for the marina.
Okay.
So our current marinas are only for Bristol residents. So if we take money from somebody else, we quite possibly might have to allow non-Bristol residents in, and
I didn't know.
then your
Okay.
rates and
I didn't
everything
know
might be
that.
different.
is it fair to say that that's? I think we might want to change that and say it's not just for Bristol residents. Bristol residents get first right on it, because a non-Bristol resident could lease one of our slips if it was available. We don't preclude non-Bristol residents from leasing the spot. They're just a list. So,
I think there's a formula that you have to, there's a formula you apply that you can skip them 3 times and then you have to
Right.
move them to.
but it doesn't exclude. I just want to be careful with that.
In the mooring world, that's how it works.
I think the docks are the
The fisherman, we should go back and say a recreational boater, a fisherman from out of town can come into our docks if they so choose, with the way the assent was written. But a recreational motor, I'm pretty sure, is not allowed at the docks, other than transient.
Well, regardless of that, which we should probably have a little bit more dialogue, but as this pertains, what's the council's pleasure?
I'd like to refer these bids to the administration and work in the best interest of the town.
Yeah. So I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item, Mr. Chairman, members of the Town Council, is the periodic report provided by Alan Klepper regarding the Bristol County Water Authority.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to receive and file.
Can I just ask I don't know if anybody here knows the answer.
Just one sec, and you absolutely can. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a discussion?
Yes, I just had a quick question. Does anybody, and I could find out, but does anyone know why they would up or increase the amount per person of the educational tuition aid policy? Looks like they doubled it. Am I reading that right?
Where's this, Mary?
Down towards the bottom, it says the directors approved a changed employee professional education tuition aid policy from $2,000 per person per year to $4,000 per person per year.
Yep, they went up.
But it must be pre-approved by management.
Well, I know, of course, and it has to pertain to your job, but I mean, I'm just surprised to see that.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, there are a lot of surprises. And January 13th, as our colleagues know, the chairman and I, we got together for a collaboration meeting with Barrington and Warren on those meetings that we're just going to talk about, projects such as BCWA and municipal service that we all have in common. And when BCWA came up that night, it was an interesting conversation, and what was brought up amongst our directors and the board and their new capital plan, which we're going to have to have a keen eye on going forward. So just wanted to say that.
It's always frustrating. There's a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item was put on sort of as a safety net because there has been ongoing discussions regarding that particular litigation, but I understand that there is no need to have an executive session this evening. Is that correct?
That is correct. We'll have information to report to the council at the next meeting on February 10th, so that matter may pass.
And now we have the individual council member agenda items, beginning with the chairman.
So if you just turned on the TV and you wanted to watch the meeting, well, it's over. So we
We're in prime hit rewind, Chairman.
we moved right along on this
We
one.
could start over again.
So to keep in line with that, so we can move this right along, I want to point out a couple of quick things. First, got a lot of calls on blue bins, and everybody knows what I'm talking about with the recycling ordinance. We are seeing some increases in recycling rates. It's really, really early right now. But there's a lot of frustrated residents that, didn't know about it, or if they did know about it, they didn't understand it. So I think it's we're going to do this a couple more times just to continue to support the DPW. Director McBride and I have talked more than a few times, and the gentleman that answers the phone is Pete, and then when Pete doesn't answer the phone, it's Carol, depending on who's busy with what. And that's a challenging place to be right now. So we give them a lot of credit, not because our residents are mean. It's because a lot of this was a challenge to, understand. So let's go through a couple things. First, does your blue bin have to be out even if there's nothing in it? The answer is yes. And you say, well, why would I put it out with nothing in it? And the answer is you wouldn't. And the point is that there's always something to recycle. There's always a junk piece of mail that you got or something that you can recycle every single week. But if you have nothing, then put out your blue bin. And why do you do that? Because you can't get your trash picked up unless your blue bin is out. So
Can it be a green bin, too?
It can. Thank you. That's a great point. What color can it be? Anything that says Town of Bristol on it, green bin, blue bin, doesn't matter. If you're not sure, you don't have to differentiate your paper and all that stuff. It all goes in one bin, whether it's green or blue. You leave it out until the trash comes. So like in most of the town, recycling is first in some places, and then trash comes much later in the day. The challenge over the last couple of weeks is that it's been so darn windy that the bin goes away. Even though you did everything you were supposed to do, the the bin blew away. So what are answers to that? Well, I've heard a couple of them. One is that when you flip it over, it's less wind friendly, so it's not going to move around as much. I've heard a couple of people, once they pick it up, they flipped it over and put a brick on top of it just so it stays there. I've heard other people attach it to the ground with a stick or something along that line. If you've got ideas, give us a buzz, because we want to share this with other neighbors, because this is the challenging part of it. And honestly, it's not that windy all the time that it would make it go to the nth degree into your neighbor's yard. So let's rewind. Put your bin out every week, please, so you can get your trash picked up. And this is not to punish people who are doing it already or weren't doing it. This is so we can raise our recycling rates, which means we throw away less. And when we throw away less, we spend less. Rates are going to go up, and we'd spend more just for no particular reason. Kevin, you wanted to add something?
I just wanted to add that Councilman Perrella brought up the question about the green bins. Yes, you can still use the green bins. Many people still do. I actually had a woman in the office today that said, all I've seen is blue bins out, so I came to get a blue bin if I need a blue bin. And I said, absolutely not. The green one is still good. And if you purchase a bin on your own, as long as it's within the size requirements of our own blue bins, we have stickers for you that will designate it as a recyclable container. So if that's what the resident wants to do, that's certainly more than adequate. And then the third thing is, Councilman President that mentioned about some of the unique ways to kind of contain them while the wind is windy out. People will even give you some hints on what to do when you call in about trying to keep the containers together. But I would suggest that if you put an empty bin out, tip it upside down so the guys in the truck know that it is empty and they don't have to stop. Believe it or not, saving that 30 or 40 seconds per stop saves time, because when they're collecting close to 2,000 stops a day, it's a lot of time. So, and that's all we ask. And other than that, obviously, it's just been an education of the citizens, and we're trying to work with them, but we're also trying to comply with the rules and regulations that were enacted.
Kevin, I just had a quick question on the impending storms, like last Saturday. I mean, obviously, Chairman mentioned the wind, but also we went through a storm, too, with the first ordinance. So with that being said, just, again, those recommendations that the Chairman mentioned follow as well?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And with that pending storm coming too, we actually put more crews on to collect the trash early so that it would be done early, so that people could collect their bins ahead of time, and so that we could stay out of, ahead of it as well. So we try to watch what is going on weather-wise, and then also meet the demand of the trash collection requirements.
Just get two questions. So I hadn't thought about the wind blowing the empty bins around. But if you're at work and it gets picked up and it's very windy, you can't go back out and put a brick or do anything like that. Obviously, I would imagine that if the trash driver sees it somewhere in the vicinity, like it's blown away, but it's not right there, and they see one or two that are sort of there, they would just assume that. Could they make that assumption? I mean, if you told
absolutely, I think discretion is the word that I use with the trash crews. Let's be realistic. We're not here to fail in this endeavor. We're here to succeed, and that's what I put out to the guys. Obviously, if it's a blatant disregard for the new rules and regulation, then obviously we have to adhere to it. Windy days, I will tell you that we've got to really just keep an eye on it and work with our citizens, because as I explained to them, our citizens are our customers, and that's how we need to treat this. And again, it's not to see anybody fail, it's to see everyone succeed, and that's our goal.
The other question I have is, I know the first week or two you were putting stickers on if people didn't have it, correct?
We're still doing that.
You are, because I saw the other day, and I think it was the right day. I'm just not sure. It was on Bayview, the end of Bayview, towards the High Street end. It was late on Friday. I think it must have not then been this. I don't think it was this week. It might have been the week before. Late on Friday, and then again on Saturday. There's tons of trash there. It just piled up way over the barrels, and so I didn't know if they put it out too late and it didn't get picked up, or if they didn't have their bins. I didn't see any recycling bins, but then, so I was surprised, and I was surprised when I drove back. So when I came home from work and I first saw it, I said, that doesn't look good, number one, and it's potential rodent and other issues. And then I went by again on Saturday, and it was still there. So obviously they didn't take the trash back into their yards.
Right. Part of the problem is, I think the end that you're referring to is a high number of college students apartment rentals, and we've been working pretty closely with those landlords that own those facilities, that, yes, they need to have the bin. They're tagged. We had a week of, we took the trash, but we still tagged, and then we get into the implementation of the rules and regulations where we tagged and didn't take the trash. Unfortunately, what happens now is if that trash sits out there for an unreasonable amount of time, which is really less than 24 hours if you read the ordinance, then our enforcement code compliance gentleman can take care of that, and we've been working with him. You know, again, I'm not trying to have anybody fail. We're just trying to do the right thing.
No, just
and we
asking
certainly
about
don't
it.
want trash all over the sidewalks in any area of town, not just the downtown area, but anywhere, because that becomes a problem. So that's sort of the steps that we're trying to use. Again, we're trying to not have anybody fail, but we do need to see the bins out.
Yeah, I'm just curious about it because I had noticed it, and I wasn't 100% certain that that was their day. I mean, I know it was my day. Do you know what I mean? And I
Right,
think they're the
right.
same, but it is definitely a concern when it was that much trash, you know, for anything to get into it, and then it wasn't all over, strewn all over. It was in bags in the thing, but it still was pretty unsightly, and it has the potential to be a big problem.
Right. And there are one or two other areas that we dealt with. We tried to get a hold of the landlord to let them know what's going on and what they need to do to rectify the situation, and then we work with them. We've had landlords come in and collect numerous amounts of bins to support the number of units that they have.
That's good.
So we've been working pretty closely with them.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the input, and I think as you put very well, our goal is to pick up everyone's trash, not to figure out ways not to do it. So, and it sounds like we're making steps to get there. So thank you on that. A couple more quick things. This council this evening, when we walked in, had an update for the 125 Franklin Street property. To remind everyone, that is on the corner of Wood Street and Franklin Street. That's the building that had a fire there going back a little bit. And we had this discussion at this council, I want to say the beginning of December, if my memory's right. So this is good to see an update with this, and that we want everybody to know that this hasn't gone unforgotten by us and all of us here. So we're hoping to see some action in one way or another, whether it's ours or the property owners, quite soon. Lastly, we have a gentleman that has been with the town for a gosh darn long time in a very important role, and this is his last council meeting as the fire chief of the town of Bristol. Hey, Bob, can you come up and just share a couple of things with me real quick? I understand that you've been, just because it's your last meeting doesn't mean you can say anything you want. So you've been the fire chief, if I'm right, for a little over 10 years, is that right?
That's correct.
And how long have you been on the fire department?
Approximately 35 years.
How did you get from 35 years starting off to the fire chief? How did that? Give us a quick synopsis of that.
I started off as a volunteer in the Heights, which is my mother company. Went through the ranks, lieutenant, captain, and then became the assistant chief from the Heights. And the highest rank attained was in, I think, 2000. I was the deputy chief for my 1 year. I was also our normal employment. I was working for DOD at the time. This opportunity became available, and the first person to thank in all this is my wife. She said, yeah, go ahead. And then, as everyone knows, I had some illness, but the second person to thank is my daughter, who saved me. So I'm there. And,
literally. That's awesome.
I've had a very successful 10 and a half years as chief, and I think that I'm satisfied. I think that the department's on the right foot. Hopefully the next person coming in will seek to improve. That's what they all have to do, and that. But I personally feel that in my tenure, we've developed a great team in Bristol. Police, DPW, water pollution, everybody. It's a together thing. Whenever we have anything happen, we're all there together. And I'm very proud of that. And I look forward to my next sojourn. I'm not sure what it is yet, but it's going to happen.
You'll be staying involved with the fire department?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a card carrier, basically, and I'm going to go back and support whatever they need and do that. And I'm a life member of Rescue, a life member of Engine 4, and everything else.
I think that gives you right to do regular checkups, and you can come by, and then you can...
As necessary, I'll be there and such. But it's been great, and it's the right time to go. Everything is good.
Well, I can tell you that this council, and indeed the people of Bristol, thank you for all that you've done and all that you'll continue to do. So thank you and congratulations.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chief.
Sounds like you climbed the ladder. I did.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Sweeney.
All right, drum roll, please. Back to that no bin, no barrel. I just want to thank all the residents for their cooperation. I mean, you guys, I know change isn't easy, but everybody's come through. And just to be on the positive note, I was talking to Kevin McBride, and he was telling me that over 300 bins went out. So that's incredible that many bins were that's being picked up. So obviously the committee still has a lot of hard work, recycling committee that is, to continue to do the education outreach, and we will continue to do that and work hard. If you want to compare the first 3 weeks in January to last year's 2015 3 weeks, we had a 11.21% increase in our recycled tons, so that's awesome. 5.81% decrease in the trash tonnage, so that's awesome. That's what we want. And so overall, like a 2.98% point increase. So that's the first 3 weeks compared to last year's 3 weeks. That's not going back over. But all in all, I believe it's working. It is, and it's due to your cooperation. So I just want to thank everybody, thank the administration, Kevin McBride, and my colleagues and everybody that's been out there working hard on the recycling projects.
And Tim, if I can keep it in perspective, if you drink Poland Springs, we have 23,000 people that live in town. If each person drank 2 bottles and threw them away, that's 46,000 bottles being thrown away every week.
Yeah.
So that's why this is important. When you start doing it like that and you say, and then Amazon boxes and Tide containers and all of that, it's not so much about the recycling, obviously it is, but it's more about not throwing it away, paying for something. When we recycle, we pay nothing to get rid of it, and we pay to throw it away. So it makes a big difference.
You make a good point, because it's, I know Eric and I, we're 2 people, and we fill up our recycling bin every week, both of them, no problem. But it's also about education. It's about knowing what is recyclable, what isn't recyclable. So just to Nathan's point, it's just knowing and making sure you're making that right decision. So with that, thank you. You guys have a great evening.
Ms. Perella.
Well, just wanted to ask Tim, maybe April, you could give us a report on the difference from last year to this year, because I think that's interesting about January, but in fairness, we had a really bad January last year, so the weather could have played somewhat of a role in that. I'm sure not the amount, not to the degree that, the change has happened. But it would be good to just hear it from like a nice, like a good weather time. That would be great.
I'd be happy to. Mary, what are you looking for, like an overall after 6 months or another
just
month?
just a snapshot like you gave today, but just maybe like in April when if you looked at like the last week of March, or sometime when it's been like decent weather and we're not comparing it to like.
Yep.
As they called it, Snowmageddon last year, Although I think that happened more towards later January and into February, however, but...
No problem.
Okay, thanks. No, the other thing I just wanted to wish Chief Martin well, best of luck in his retirement, and Chief, you've done a great job, and we really appreciate everything that you've done, and you certainly deserve a wonderful, healthy retirement, so we wish you the best, and maybe we'll see you at the ice cream barn in summer. So I found out that's one of his favorite hangout places to go. I went twice. I saw him there twice. It looked like I was always going there. And I was like, I only went twice the whole summer. I saw him there both times.
It's a part-time job.
I'm all set, yes, thank you.
Mr. Stewart?
Anytime we have a department head leaving, that's why we only have an hour council meeting, just in case they want to stick around. We try to entice them with a short meeting. Because, and that reminds me of our department heads and all of us, even though this is a short meeting, we had a lot of constructive topics we talked about tonight, very positive stuff for our town, and I know for myself, and I believe my colleagues, we're very proud as a council to work with the administration, the department heads, and the residents on all these initiatives. And I also, too, want to thank you. It was a pleasure serving with you, Chief, and wish you a healthy and great retirement with you and your family. And I'm sure the successor will carry on of the enthusiasm of our volunteer fire department, our accredited police department, our DPW this past weekend, who goes above and beyond, along with all our departments. I can't say enough. I'm very proud, and it's just a joy serving with them and serving the community. Thank you, Mike Davis, Sergeant of Arms, Archie Davis, everyone who decided to stay home again tonight. I know it's the winter time, but if you're watching at home, thank you.
Town Administrator items?
The first thing I would like to do is thank all the departments, DPW, the police, and fire for the last week's storm. They dealt with that very nicely. It was handled. The streets were pretty clean. And actually, quite a few comments that I received, very positive comments overall about the department and how well the work was done in town and how quickly the snow was cleaned as well. So a big thank you goes to DPW, the police, and fire for all their support and for their work done throughout the storm. Well, it was already well put by our chair, Chairman Caloro, regarding Chief Martin. In my tenure here, the last 3 years, he's been a great team player. He's been there when needed for support. He's been there as a leader of the department, especially dealing with some of the issues that we had to deal with this year. It was not easy, but he stepped up and he did a great job. So for that, Chief, thank you so much for all of your work and for the leadership that you provide. Not only during the last 3 years, but during the 10-year tenure that you were with us. So thank you. Wish you the best in retirement. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Gosh, what do we do now?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
And it's not even an executive session, is that it? Well,
There's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Does it matter that?
Now we bring in the people.
Walter, excellent job with the 2 minutes, sir.
Walter, I took the survey. It took me